Did you know that on average, one bad hire costs a company $25,000? Currently, when someone is being hired, they are assessed on how similar they are to the current employees instead of how well they complement the company and their values. This is the difference between the culture fit system and employee-company compatibility, what companies actually need to look for. Compatibility is important because it promotes diversity, which leads to a more profitable and fruitful business. If someone is hired and is not compatible with the company, then they are considered a bad hire and are laid off or let go. Employee-company compatibility is not only important because it promotes diversity, but getting it wrong has serious and long-lasting repercussions. We're going to do some math and figure out how expensive bad hires are for Canadian companies every year. There are approximately 15 million people working in Canada, and we have a 16% turnover rate, of which 80% are due to bad hires. Now, the average cost of a bad hire is $25,000, although that cost is what we can quantify. There are more costs that cannot be accounted for. Therefore, Canadian companies are spending $49.4 billion every year just on bad hires alone. Not only is there a financial burden, but a bad hire impacts the rest of the team's performance. 95% of chief financial officers say that a bad hire ultimately hurt the morale of the team and there was a loss in productivity as a result. Now, the knowledge of the power of a bad hire is nothing new. In 1989, a paper was published presenting a model of person-organization fit. The paper outlined that matching individual value profiles to company value profiles resulted in better hires who felt more attached to their job and stayed longer. By the 1990s, many companies had started to build a corporate culture and emphasize the importance of hiring compatible employees. In the early 2000s, the tech boom introduced companies like Facebook and YouTube and increased the competition to hire top talent. Companies started to recognize that a strong company culture attracted and retained better talent. 2019 was the first year that the Gen Zers who had completed a 4-year degree entered the workforce. Stats Canada estimates that they will make up 20% of the workforce by 2020 and reach 60% over the coming decade. 30% of Gen Zers said that they would take a 10 to 20% pay cut in order to work for a cause they deeply care about. As more Gen Zers enter the workforce, it is vital that companies assess whether their candidates' values and missions align with their own. With the increased awareness of the positive impact a strong company culture has on attracting and retaining top talent, companies are attempting to hire based on culture fit rather than employee-company compatibility. Some of the most common hiring attempts are interview questions and personality tests. Interviews are a staple in the hiring process. One of the most common methods interviewers use when assessing culture fit is the beer and coffee test. What most people mean by culture fit is hiring someone they'd like to get a beer with. This intuitive sense of would I get along with this person isn't very reliable. This method of testing culture fit is failing companies because interviewers are confusing someone who will complement the company and their values with someone who is the same as themselves. Most interviewers are more likely to hire someone like themselves and discount those who are different. This type of thinking hinders diversity and leads to a homogeneous culture. It is important to have diversity because it is directly linked to higher innovation, creativity, and productivity, leading to a more profitable and fruitful business. Multiple interviewers are supposed to prevent homogeneous cultures. However, if the culture fit system has permeated the company, then the interviewers are going to be identical to the other employees and be looking for someone the same in order to keep up the homogeneous culture being built. The other commonly used test to assess culture fit is the personality test. The point is to assess one's method of thinking. Unfortunately, the outcome of personality tests is the same as interviews. There are more advanced platforms that are available for companies that offer personality analysis like Plum. However, these advanced platforms are still too generic and cannot accommodate a company's unique needs. A great solution would allow companies to efficiently and affordably avoid bad hires. In conclusion, a solution that effectively assesses employee-company compatibility instead of culture fit will avoid human biases, save billions of dollars every year, and understand the Gen Z population and generations to come. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation.